All right. So Frosty.
Now we see the violence inherent in the system. Shut up!
So quite a large post.
In the system. Help! Help! I'm being repressed. Blood.
About the future of the Race to World First from their perspective. I think this is really interesting because obviously Frosty's been involved in the FF14 Race to World First for a lot longer than I have, for sure. Like, look, stop typing your essays. Right, see, now I'm muting you. See, because you're now broadcasting crunching. See, Sock? Oh, you sent me. Oh my god, it's a nice message. Hold on.
I appreciate your work and the community you have fostered. I love you, man. But like, not in a moist way or anything like that. My love and appreciation for you is dry and flaccid like no homo brothers.
I see. That's a nice message. That's a lovely message. Thank you so much, Sock. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know what? You get VIP. There you go. There you go. And then it's muted, you see? And that's why you don't have VIP. That's why you don't have VIP. You see what I'm saying, Ziggs? You see the difference? You see the dichotomy of the stream in live real time? Do you see what's happening here? What about you, Smart? What about you? What about you? Eh? What do you want? Okay? Yes. Yes. Right, all right. Let's have a read of this. Let's get some thoughts. Hello, everyone. Hello. Thanks for another incredible world first race. During the last Savage tier, we saw a 20-second difference between teams killing the final boss on the stream. The ultimate fight had a kill difference of less than a single pull, and many instances of neck-and-neck attempts on stream as well. It was exciting for myself as well as the entire community that surround the event. We were also able to raise more than $20,000 dues for children's hospitals. For the stream production side, we worked with Echo to deliver an experience we haven't seen before in the scene. I hope in the future we can continue to experiment and find ways to make the World First race more entertaining for the community. Agreed. This is going to be fairly long. All right, strap in. As I want to cover multiple aspects. First, I think it's important to quickly go into a little more detail about the removal of grind from the leaderboards. When originally, so if you're not sure what happened, grind got found to be using plugins and their first kill was not ranked. An essential disqualification. When originally ranking the team, I was sent an unlisted VOD of their clear from the leader. Scanning through the video, everything looked completely legit and had no initial reason to dismiss the team's claim. Later, after seeing the reaction the community had about one of the screenshots containing a red dot. Do we have this screenshot? Yeah, where is it? I haven't seen it. Let's go to the Reddit. Going to the subreddit. Is this the screenshot? Yeah. Is this the one? Christ. Yeah, I don't see a red dot on that one. It was during the cutscene. Is it this one? This one? It has the duty complete text on it. All right, those are the two at the top of the Reddit thread. You just got to be Raven? Thanks, brother. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of obvious. Oh, it's there. Yeah. Enhance. Behold. The red dot. Oh, this person who took this screenshot. Yeah, the person who took this screenshot. Fuck. Fuck's sake. Oof. It's their flag, it's fine. But... yeah, the memes are kind of bants.
It's glorious Japan, mate.
It is glorious Japan.
Yeah.
That's what caught them out. Oh, man. That's what got them. The red dot. It looks like a little clown nose. What is the red dot? The red dot is Pixel Perfect, an add-on that shows exactly where your character is stood. Imagine just drawing a dot on your monitor instead of using a plugin. I mean, my monitor, I think, has the option to add the dot itself. Okay. So, scouring through the video, everything looked completely legit. So the community reacted to one of the screenshots containing the red dot. Our team investigated further. At first, it seemed rather harmless and possibly not worth disqualification. Okay, first point. Is the dots a disqualifying thing on its own? Considering, as we said, monitors can add this. People literally blue tack dots to their screen. Like, on its own, discounting what else it does, is the dots enough? I agree. I think so too. Yeah. There are other ways around it, but yeah, I mean, it's indicative of something else. Yeah, I agree. Okay. But the more our team looked into it, the more sus it was. I then reached out personally to the account that posted it and the team leader. It was then confirmed that even while it was agreed upon in the group not to use any third-party programs, one of their members did download a program which caused the red dot to appear under their character. At a base level, again, it seems rather harmless, but the program used to make that happen had an arsenal of game-breaking tools. What else does it do? Do we know? I'm very wary of what I can talk about here. ScreenX do watch the stream. It does a lot, apparently. Hold on. Okay, let me read the comments on this. All right. How to word this. Suppose this add-on existed, and suppose somebody was to write a blurb on it. Not that I would know, but I imagine it would say something like this. That the plugin aims to give the player a framework with which to better understand/feel the distance they are away from one or multiple given enemies, with configurable colors communicating non-verbally said distance and abiding a set of player-defined coloring rules. This thing does a lot for whatever distance is needed, is what I would imagine it would say. In theory, it would also say, the player can choose to display hitboxes for only themselves, the enemy they are targeting, or even for all enemies nearby that are only closer to the player than a given distance. Yeah, hypothetically speaking. Hypothetically speaking, it might also, of course, provide the base functionality of the standard plugin, but probably shouldn't be used only for this, as it can be used in such a case the player only wants to give their target a hitbox. The conditional coloring feature is optional. This plugin also hides the by default This plugin also hides by default the entirety of the player ring settings, as the feature is visually intrusive, not telling enough to the distance of the player. Wait, did this used to put a ring around you? Hypothetically. Hypothetically, it may put a ring around you as well. Hypothetically. The ring is standard in a fictional world. Yeah. Check this 1 minute vid. Is he got Xeno's not gonna get mad, is he? He's always angry whenever you guys send me a clip. He's an angry man. He wasn't angry in that Japanese bar with Arthur's, but he's always mad.
Got him.
Is that a fan? Is it a wind turbine?
Okay.
Emboldened.
What is this? What the fuck? Party frame overlay configuration. Auto rotation? Oh, it's like CLC Ret. Oh, I see. Yeah.
One.
What the fuck? What am I even looking at? This doesn't even look like FF14. The more I look at it, the more areas of the screen that I take in, the less it looks like Final Fantasy XIV. It's almost WoW. I mean, it's kind of worse than WoW because it's not even like graphically good now. Now it just looks like shit. Where's the boss? Has it removed all the boss's graphics and just changed them into like a box? Yeah, I think they've replaced the boss model with something else. These are the meteors. Chat bubbles. Those rat bastards. Those rat bastards.
Tower 2.
I had no idea it could even look like this. This is kind of eye-opening. I can see Yoshida's aversion to this being... Can you imagine if the Race to World first looked like this? I mean, this looks like a Minecraft game. Yeah. Like, this legit starts to look like some sort of fucking pixel game. Some 16-bit gaming experience.
3.
Why aren't you guys sending me stuff like this and instead are sending me... Oh, look, I can make Carbuncle have a 40-inch dick. Like, this is way more interesting for me. But the screenshots you send me of what add-ons can do is... Because this is ugly, that's disgusting. That is disgusting. That is absolutely gross. Jesus Christ. This is awful.
Tether 4.
This is horrendous.
Wow, they're still live. What the fuck?
Yeah, that is awful. Let me make sure Chris has got this. Where is he? There he is. Okay. That was a kind of eye-opening experience.
Got him.
So much nonsense still wiping. Yeah, people need more than that to not wipe. I mean, that's also assuming every other player is using that and not trying to do it properly. Yeah, that was top P1. Okay. I was suspicious was. I reached out personally and they confirmed they were using programs, but the program they used to make it happen as an arsenal of game-breaking tools, so I decided to make the call to disqualify them. I feel kind of bad for Frosty that he's been put in this sort of authoritative position as somebody who's just a fan of tracking the Race to World first. And now it's like trying to dispense justice like some fucking Judge Dredd in the Race to World first scene. I do truly believe they are a group of extremely skilled players, but it seems to be the fair decision given the situation. Yeah. After the event, I had some time to reflect on everything. For nearly a decade, I've been involved in tracking the clears of the new difficult content for FF14. Before me, however, the race still existed. I didn't create the concept of players wanting to be the first in the world to clear raid boss fights. The news of players clearing it first would show up on Reddit, Twitter, and other social media. And when I started tracking it, my goal was to just collect information from those outlets and rank them to provide a clear standing of teams. It wasn't much more in-depth than that. I didn't do an analysis of what was a fair clear or not, just listed what was reported and backed by what the community accepted as legit. I never considered myself to be the person who determined was it cheating or not. I wanted that to fall on the community. Ooh, yeah. Democratically chosen. Of course, though, as the years went on, the raiding scene has evolved and the opinion on what is cheating has changed within the community. I remember people reporting to me that teams were using tools to emulate having an ultra-wide screen monitor. Yeah, that's been brought up to me a lot recently. While it definitely gives an advantage, it was hard to declare that as cheating because people with money to buy those monitors were getting the same thing. Yeah, that's not cheating, in my opinion. If I don't think that's cheating. I don't think that's cheating. If the game is obviously just more suitable in that environment and it's an option, ethical Zoom hacking, yeah, I think that's fine. Because people with the money to buy those monitors were getting the same thing. Many situations started to come up where I needed to make a ruling on what I thought was cheating. Again, I would try not to be involved in that determination and let the community stance on it hold. However, that's getting harder to navigate and what exactly the community that is involved in the race wants. We had situations where players were banned from the game for using quality of life plugins, which later were features added to the game. Of course, my own experience, as I found out, is that a lot of the streamers were waiting for me to get banned so that chat bubbles would be added. Thankfully, that's not the road it went down, but nice to know that behind the scenes they were all waiting and hoping that I would get banned. It's just nice to know that everyone's got your back and they're all like, any day now, any day, and then we'll get it. Then we'll get it. There was the infamous situation with Top where a Zoom hack was used. Again, some would argue wasn't too drastically different than what today's ultra-wide monitors can do. Interestingly enough, we have had this in World of Warcraft. Is you used a plugin to zoom out more. It was possibly one of the most regular requested add-ons in my chat over the years. How do I zoom my character out so far? Because it's now in the game. It's now in the game, but for years it was console commands and stuff. Yeah, I've seen the Top. I mean, we all know about. Yeah, the GIF is playing in the chat. We all know about the zoom hack. I've used it forever. Ever since I found out about it when I saw the Top Raiders using it, I used it. But to be fair, in WoW's defense, that was a console command. It was a function of the game. You just had to know what the command was. I believe a plugin is needed in 14 to do this. You can't type a console command in to get the camera zoomed out. That was a plugin feature, I believe. Yeah. Unfortunately, once the box is opened, though, it leaves doubts in the community's minds about the legitimacy of clears. If that program was used, what else could be there that isn't being shown? This is the core of the issue. Yeah. Well, as we said, the ultrawide issue was a big thing for the Echo production team. It was just not something that they considered would be a thing until we were getting ready to broadcast. It's like, everybody's got ultrawides and their resolutions are dog shit for everything we do. Bit of a bummer. There's also programs that members in the raid community see as vital to their experience. One that logs data from fights to help analyze your gameplay. Right, a question I have right now is how broken is Pictomancer right now? We got a graph from the balance or something? It's pretty busted, right? Like, a lot of people are suggesting if you actually want to do Futures Rewritten, maybe at its intended difficulty, you do it without a Picto, and you'll have a very different experience. I'm unsure as to how this has happened. Yeah, it's just too much damage in its burst windows. Yeah. Yeah, it's straight up a chasm. I have a DPS chart. Let's see. Okay, I'm checking a website that may or may not exist. Hold. I'm just checking something. Don't worry about it. It shows the imbalance. Yeah. Yeah.
How bad is it?
You don't need to know anything, Chris. This website doesn't even exist.
Okay.
Like, in theory... I'll send you these links. How has this happened? Like, I can somewhat understand it for Arcadians' first turns, but it's been a while since then to correct this. I don't understand how it's still this bad in comparison to everything else. They think they can buff everything up, but they don't seem to have done that. Like, the first tier, sure, I can get it. Can I show this? Hang on, let me... Okay. In theory, if I was to guess... if I was to guess what like based on my experience of being in a dungeon or so.
Yeah, we've come up with a graphical representation of what we think.
I'm just saying, I am guessing here as to what this looks like.
Based on our anecdotal experience.
Anecdotal. This is from doing dungeons. So you might have, say... Dancer would be like here.
This is just like pure calculator.
This is pure like Bard would be like, you know, like yeah. I'm just saying, like, in theory, it probably looks like this right now with like Red Mage being like here, but you get the idea. Is most of them are like pretty close. Like, they do a good job with class balance, and then Picto might be like here. For example, right? Again, I'm not saying this is exactly the situation because that I wouldn't know, and I'm not sure how we'd get that data. But the closest second place might be like there, like that. So it's an interesting theory. It's an interesting theory that we can probably base something on, but that seems to be. Yeah, so it looks a little something like this. Yeah. A little something like that. I guess. All right, it looks a bit like that. Which would be definitely problematic. Yeah, that would definitely be problematic. Fuck me. And I would also imagine, theoretically, it might be the most popular job in the entire game in progress rating. By double the closest competitor. I mean, I'd probably guess it's practically double the amount of Pictos compared to the closest other. Viper is so mid, it's baffling. Yeah, I mean, if it's a problem from design up, either way, it's obviously theoretically a problem. All right. That's an interesting picture you've sent me, per se. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'll stick with my guesswork on how far ahead Picto is compared to everything else. Either way, coming back to that, logs. Logs would show you this information. And without that data, you might be unaware. Do you suspect, I'm talking to you guys right now, do you suspect that they, for Futures Rewritten, because they do clear it internally, is they ran several groups minus a Picto to make sure job variety worked, and therefore the groups that ran with Picto had a distinct advantage? We don't know if they playtest with multiple classes. As far as I know, we do. Because that was one of the reasons they had to nerf in Asphodelios, right? In Pandemonium. Because they replayed it so many different times with different jobs that they got too comfortable with the fight. Abyssos, yeah. Yeah, we know Yoshi P is playing Black Mage, but that doesn't mean the other people aren't. That's what they say. You can't DM me any charts, because I don't know where you're getting this preposterous information from. Either way. One that's that log data. Do you think logging is cheating? This is why the community decision matters, because technically it is, right? By the rules. See, this is the weird line that FF14 walks, is it's just rampant with add-on usage. It is. The game is rampant with add-on usage. It's just not that affect gameplay. And it's like, where do you draw the line here? Where do you draw the line? It's hard for me to say, because coming from WoW, where obviously I have a history of taking the game more seriously than a human being should for a long time, and being deep in it, the idea of not having statistical data to mess with is preposterous to me. Finding out what happened, why we died, where was the damage sources, who was not attacking. I mean, how many of us have had problems solved because Johnny Dipshit, we'll call them, say, Dafty, is attacking the wrong ad 25 pulls deep into progress. And you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is this not dying? I've assigned people out and I've done all this. And then you check the fucking logs and it's like, well, why are you attacking the wrong one? Oh, sorry, I was on the wrong one. Like, you get that from there. Or the stream of kills. Because everybody always looks at like, well, I died to this. Well, yeah, but now we've checked the logs. What actually happened is you ended up in a situation you're going to die because you did this 30 seconds earlier and now you're dead. How would you even argue that logging is cheating? Is recording your VOD cheating as well? It's a discussion that I don't think any reasonable person is having. Recording your gameplay is not cheating. I think you have to be a pretty unreasonable person to consider in 2025 almost that the ability to record your gameplay and watch it back is cheating. Like, I think you've got to be a pretty unreasonable person to be like, oh, you're not even allowed to check VODs now? Like, you're just getting stupid at that point. And I don't think anybody would follow that. Yeah. I was watching folks in Fallout 76 fail to understand go into the room to not wipe the raid boss AoE. Yeah. I think you do. I think you have to be a pretty unreasonable person to have that. I can't rewind time. It's so cheating. True Blind Bugbees play with your eyes closed. Exactly. I think it's in a world of reasonable people, it's fine. I mean, my personal gut feeling on the whole add-on thing is, and I kind of feel like in the, you know, the swing of opinions from like everything should be allowed all the way till nothing should be allowed. I think most, at least what I've gotten from the community as a whole, is that everybody's okay with add-on usage. They just don't want it to affect their in-game play content. And interfering add-ons like Mare or whatever it might be, picture taking, glam swappers, things like that are quality of life features that enhance the game and do have zero effect on anything that's actually gameplay orientated are fine. And I think Square Enix turn a nice blind eye to that stuff because it's not fucking around with them. I know there'll be people all the way that swing that pendulum to either side, but that's my general feeling. People think Cousin Alex and Cousin Clippy is cheating somehow. I don't even know what that is. Oh no, what is Mare? Don't worry about it. If you don't know what it is, you don't need it, all right? That's my opinion. If you don't know what it is, then you don't need it. You're all good, yeah? As long as, if you don't know what it is, then you've not needed that information, right? Otherwise, you would have Googled it, right? You would have figured it out. You're not like, it's not like you don't know these add-ons exist. It takes 2 seconds to get them. Okay. I like the next point here he's bringing up. Data logging. I personally am okay with data logging. I think it's fine. I do, on that note, though, do agree that you should not, in FF14 especially, be shitting on people for their DPS or whatever. It's not the game for that. I think it's done pretty good for the community to not have that sort of blatant in-your-face information that somebody is bad. And I think there's been no bigger testament to how dangerous that information is in the wrong hands than the recent problems WoW has had with org evokers, which has just been a living fucking nightmare for uneducated people being given too much information, which is what it is. There's no other way of me wording it. Uneducated people being given too much information that they don't know how to translate and don't understand the basis of that. And org evokers have been a great example of that. Ones that remove issues that come from latency and being able to weave in off global abilities. If I could have an add-on that drastically reduced snapshotting's effect. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. I'm not installing it. I know they exist. Don't get me wrong. I know they exist. But any that's these things are the positioning code for 14 blows my mind how old it is. Considering when the game came out. It's insane. It's insane. EX3 is the fucking bomb when you're splitting on the EX3 is just like hilarious at how fucking bad it is. It's so fucking bad. It's unbelievable. Is having a VPN on cheating in that case? These are good questions because we also use these in World of Warcraft. And many of us used advanced combat timer, which changed your in-game latency for your abilities.
Do you remember like Ice Lance?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, advanced combat timer. Because it changed your latency with the game, so you could double ice lance easier because the game wouldn't register it otherwise. No clippy, which reduces the chance of being snapshotted. These ones that allow you to do more weaves, so you're literally increasing your DPS. Yeah. Most would say these are harmless and a core function of raiding in 14 today. While I personally don't use any add-ons in the game, nor do I advise people to use them, I understand why they're used. However, in the end, they would still break the TOS. Yeah, I mean, should you be punished because of where you live and your latency? Should you be a burden to your team? I mean, a lot of this usage comes down to not only trying to do the best you can, but also just not being a fucking boon around your neck. Because, like, suppose you lived somewhere like Australia and you wanted to play with people in Europe. You're obviously just going to be, like, the biggest burden on everybody else, right? And it's just going to be a horrendous experience for everybody playing with you and make them look down on you from a great height for being just such a geographical poor. You know? These situations are real. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but some people like to play with your friends. My brother plays with 200 ping and have cleared Savvy. Oh, no one ever says you can't do it. That's not the case. Of course you can do it. Does it feel good, though, to know that you're playing with, like, huge latency? No. Right? Or maybe even confusing your teammates because you're running somewhere. On your screen, you're fine, but from what they're seeing, your latency is so high, you're running all over the place. It's not something people enjoy, by any means. In the past, Square Enix would officially congratulate teams for clearing the fights, but because of the controversy, I remember when this stopped, yeah, and the community's acceptance of breaking the terms of service, it doesn't make sense for them to support it. Yoshida expressed his disappointment in making challenging content if players are going to find ways to break the game to beat it. Yeah. All true, we've covered that many times. While certain aspects of the race are growing and becoming better, we are losing others. I feel like now is the time we come together as a community to make a new way forward. Okay. The events we have put on are always amazing, in my, of course, biased opinion. Raised over 200,000 for charity since starting. It's exciting to see who is in the lead and decipher the mechanics live. It brings the community together and keeps everyone excited. This is what I want to foster. While I don't want to disregard the efforts of offline teams and the legitimate reasons why they are offline, it's hurting more than helping us move forward to something better. I want this to be an event everyone is proud of, so effective for future races. The request will be... Oh, is he putting rules in? Will be to teams to do something that seems outrageous to most raiders. These rules won't apply to previous races, and I have no intention of disregarding those rankings, but for all future races, no add-ons can be used, and no terms of service with FF14 can be broken. Trust me, bro? What are we doing here? Yeah. don't think so. That's a little pie in the sky. I guess I wonder if what Frosty's thinking here is that if there's any evidence at all of some plugin being used, even if it's quote-unquote harmless, you just get disregarded. That's it. Yeah, I know it's for his leaderboards, but it is generally the community-accepted leaderboards. I think this does give you a hard out to just be like, no. No data mining attempts should be made by members of the team or someone who's trying to support them. Okay. Okay. All the teams must have one player at minimum streaming live, and VODs should persist. It's reasonable and unenforceable. All teams must have only one player streaming. If that screenshot didn't come out with the guy with the red dot and just had the initial VOD, then Grind would have been the world first, right? Well, here's the thing, right? We're talking about overlays and other things. They don't show up on streams, right? I mean, how many examples have we seen? Certainly of wall hackers getting caught because they forgot to hide the overlay on their stream. Because you can, if it's projected onto the game, you can absolutely do it separately than the game itself. I mean, this is what Guild Wars 2 does. It's what was possible in World of Warcraft until they all shut it down real fucking fast because none of the teams wanted to deal with it. VODs help, but one person doing it ain't really enough. But I mean, kind of rock at a hard place. Can you force everybody to be able to stream? Some people can't stream. And that means they can't take part. It's a start. Is it a good solution? No. No. I'm sure Frosty knows that as well. I want the race to live in a world where there's no debate on what is cheating and what isn't. Squeenix should be able to support the race if they want to without fear of supporting add-ons. Some teams are already doing this, and I feel this is the right call. I don't have the ability to install an anti-cheat on players' machines or any advanced way of monitoring it, so trust will be involved here. If there, if there is a case where someone has evidence of using an add-on during the race, I'll have to take action. More details to follow. I have no intention of monitoring players' add-on activity outside of the event, as my request is for the world first race to not use them. I'll put everyone on a level playing field without question of what is and is not okay. Okay. Here's the thing. Very competitive people will use every shortcut possible to win. At least some of them will. If someone can make the track 90 meters instead of 100, and they can get away with it, well, they'll do it. Because winning is more important than coming second. Yeah, you'd like it to be all in a trust handshake gentleman's agreement type of thing, but no. Reality begs to differ, unfortunately. Reality begs to differ. Streaming is also a tough decision, as I know it loses the aspect of figuring out the puzzles without being affected by other teams and the strategies they come up with. But it also helps. I love this, by the way, because this is like fledgling. Although the Race to World First has been followed for a while in 14, this is like the growing pains that it's going through to rise up. It's really interesting for me, who's someone who's lived through all of the WoW Race to World First inception to where it is today, to see these growing pains in real time and how the community is trying to deal with it. But it also helps build other aspects to the race that I believe are more important. It can also be a resource grab on players' devices when racing. So I only ask that a minimum of one player streams. It doesn't prevent players from cheating or breaking the rules, but at least gives something to analyze in the case it's needed. When did WoW go through this? No, the Race to World First for WoW is actually younger than people realize. The Race to World First proper for World of Warcraft started 6 years ago, nearly 7, with the Uldia raid in Battle for Azeroth. The Race to World First has always existed. It's always existed since vanilla. You know, I've recently done some historical videos on the Race to World First of what happened behind the scenes. But the idea of it being streamed and broadcast and turned into what we now know of as the Race to World First actually is only 6 years old. The growing pains they went through were a lot of risk of information being shared. FF14 is going through the same thing, right? Once a puzzle is solved and broadcast, particularly in 14's case, then everybody knows the solution. You only hold on to that advantage. FF14 is way more difficult in this regard. You only hold on to the advantage of solving the puzzle for as long as you haven't done it on stream, and then everybody knows the solution or can reverse engineer it and figure it out very quickly as to what it is. I would actually argue that the bigger issue that 14's facing right now, which I think might actually be a negative to them ever having a good Race to World First, that a lot of community do want. Viewership has been slowly rising in this community as awareness has grown. It's not where it was for the launch of WoW, but WoW had a more established history of following the Race to World First ever since its vanilla. Arguably, the Kel'Thuzad Race to World First was one of the most engaging community moments ever, despite the fact it was offline. It's hard to really compete in 14 when you know all the answers, when it's less individually execution based than it is in the hardest World of Warcraft stuff. Because it's just a different style of raiding. It's not a knock on 14, but it's more a case of how it's a dance that is a solvable puzzle that once you figure those pieces out, people can relatively easily replicate. World of Warcraft goes the other way. The puzzle is usually stupidly easy. Like you can figure it out just by watching it once, which is the jobs of myself and the other casters and the team. Is like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do, right? So if you look at something like Farak, it's not exactly a big puzzle as to you have to click the white orb when he's going to breathe on you, right? Or that maybe we need to save space. There is a little bit of puzzle solving and like how do we use the room space to maximize uptime. That's cool. But for the most part, what needs to be done is pretty self-evident. However, executing that under the circumstances the fight puts in front of you is extraordinarily difficult. And they will take days knowing what needs to happen and be unable to accomplish it. Other way around in 14, which makes it a different style of issue to deal with. So it's a very interesting distinction between the two and why you can't really draw exclusively on what WoW's growing pains were to implement into 14 because the challenges and how the race plays out is very unique. It's very different. I actually think I have a sneaking negative impression that the rise of streaming and push into a broadcast and more event-based world first is actually a negative because they're clearing bosses so quickly now that it kind of limits where the shows can go, which is fine. If FF14's Race to World First is limited to small little shows or online only shows and things, that's fine. That's its limit. Like we talked about the other day, I don't think Square Enix are going to make more difficult encounters to cater to the Race to World First. I don't think that's the way they would go. It's a race. It's not about keeping information secret. It's about who gets there first through any methods, right? That's why it's called a race. If it's hidden, it's not a race. It depends. In 14's case, it kind of tilts the other way, Wavepath, because a big aspect of FF14's raiding is puzzle solving. Is it the same kind of race when you keep giving the answers to the competition to advance everybody forward? And they haven't worked it out themselves and maybe only end up working out the solutions to one or two puzzles and winning. And we were talking the other day about what would have been the correct play for Echo, who were in the world first position. And the smart play might have been that they actually went to bed and let the other guys solve the puzzles because they can implement the next puzzles very quickly and move forward. It's a race that constantly has everybody getting a speed up. Does that make sense? It's like every time you move forward and take the first place position, if it was Mario Kart, everybody gets a mushroom behind you. Right? So you get a slight advantage. You solve the next 20 seconds of the fight. But at the same time, everybody else in the team, everybody else who's racing gets a power-up mushroom to go straight back to where you were. It's a kind of a rubber banding effect, yeah. Would it perhaps make sense to give points for certain achievements, like 2 points for clearing a phase first or 5 points? Too complex for a viewer, honestly. Too complex for a viewer. The biggest goal of any presentation of something as difficult as esports. Esports' biggest enemy has always been it's not as baby for a viewer as, say, football. Right? Why do a lot of people don't like cricket? Because it's fucking annoying to understand that game. For the average viewers, there's a reason why football, soccer is like so globally accepted nearly every corner of the planet. The team on the left is trying to put the ball in the net of the team on the right. The team on the right is trying to stop them and put the ball in the team on the left. Like, you have to be a complete fucking docile idiot to not get 90% of what football is watching for about 30 seconds. You're like, oh, okay, they're kicking the ball that way to go in the net, and the other team's trying to get the ball to kick it that way to go in the net. Yeah? Like, you could go into the offside rule and all that kind of shit, but there's barely anybody. I've seen my children look at football on the TV and be like, oh, okay, I totally get what the fuck is going on in seconds. Yeah, try that with most esports. It's really, really hard, right? I think League of Legends is so amazing that it's managed to capture such a wide audience while having so much depth and complexity. But generally speaking, you want it to be as simple to follow for the audience as possible. You should be able to drop in and get a general idea of what's going on. Yeah, it's difficult. What do you mean? WoW is easy. Just get the health bar to 0. Yeah, that is why we've ended up with tens, if not more, of thousands of people who don't understand. A big debate at the back of the Race to World First when how we present it is like, what if we have a shield phase? Farak had one, Razageth had one, and therefore all like the top 5 guilds all had the exact same percentage. How they all got the same percentage? Who's winning? Like, endlessly. And it's not their fault. As much as I might put a dumbass voice on it, it's really not their fault if you're not understanding the intricacies of the encounter. It's like, well, it's a phase change where the boss gets a massive shield and the boss health isn't going down, but they're progging this. And it's like, okay, we need to convey that information at a glance for people to understand what's going on. There's a shield, not complicated. It is complicated for people who have no idea about the fight. Like, assuming there's a shield every time doesn't make any sense. So you need... Now it does, like, phase 3 shield and a percentage of a shield. Like, it's just things we've added on so people can actually get a good idea of what's going on. But generally speaking, you want it to be as simple as possible. Coming back to it as anybody else. So a point system, yeah, it's just adding too much complexity to what's going on. Because then you can end up in a weird scenario where, like, you know, Kindred won, they killed it first, but Echo learnt more phases, so technically they're the... No, bollocks. It's no good. Okay. It doesn't prevent players from cheating, but gives something to analyze in the case it's needed. Again, going with these rules disables a lot of add-ons, which some people believe removes latency disadvantages, UI changes that are important to players, and more fairly argued reasons for the add-ons. But the 14 World Race is evolving, and I have to make a decision. I feel the right way to approach this is to model Squeenix's rulings on add-ons. On another note, in the past, Yoshida asked for the community to help and give suggestions for what they could do from an official capacity to support the race. I would like to go into what my years of tracking the race would suggest. I will note that I am not a programmer, nor do I fully understand what the back end looks like. Messy, from what we can tell. I could just give suggestions. A public log. Currently, the log used to analyze data is not meant to be public, and there are various reasons for that, but I believe a rule set could be put in place to resolve these issues. If privacy is a concern, obscure players' names in that log or only have the current player's information in it. If active information during the fight is a concern, don't have the public log show dates. You know what would actually kind of work for FF14 that doesn't work in WoW? A tournament realm. A tournament realm would actually be totally fine in FF14. It would be absolutely fine. That would be the simplest solution, which should accommodate everything. What would it fix? Every character is identical. The logging that is taken from there can be public without affecting the rest of the game. That would be totally fine. Because it only exists, quote-unquote, on the tournament realm. It's not like they need to... As long as you provide them with crafted gear, and if, you know, if you're Squeenix, you're not arguing over whether or not the top teams in the world can get their crafted gear or whatever. No one cares. Can I do that with PvP going forward? Maybe. Yeah, and then Tournament Client, I'm not sure... I honestly don't have the answer as to whether they can actively detect if people are using add-ons or not. I would hope they can, in some way, detect that. But if they can... Yeah, I was hoping a tournament realm could, in some way, allow them to be more... stringent on what's happening with the game. Yeah, I'm wondering. They can't detect. I wonder if that's true. Yeah, I'm wondering if they wanted to, if they had a separate realm, is it true? Because that would be a huge fix. Because there's no need for splits or anything else with FF14. The gear's all identical. I mean, if a Tony Realm is a slight different version of the main game, it shuts off Dalamud. That's a point. If the Tournament Realm is using something that's different from the main game, do add-ons get disabled by default? At least for the duration of the race, while probably add-on creators try and work around it, but is that a potential solution? Yeah, it depends on the add-on. I don't see a real problem with Tournament Realm. For 14. WoW has obvious problems with Tournament Realms, given how the games work. But I don't see it, at least immediately to my brain, I don't see a negative aspect of Tournament Realms. Achievements? There's no first achievement, right? In 14, you just get the achievement for killing it. And if you've done the prog on the Tournament Realm, is there anything to stop you logging over and killing the boss 10 minutes later on the live servers? Right? It's usually very repeatable. Yeah, it's still fucking hard, but, I mean, it's repeatable if you've done the prog and done it. Not saying it's easy. I mean, we're talking about the world top guilds here, right? Yeah. The world top guilds should probably be able to re-kill it relatively quickly. Right? They're not going to be like, oh, you know, reprogging it for weeks. I'm not saying they're going to log on and do it in 2 minutes, but the guilds that have killed it and progged it at the world first level are probably capable of re-killing it pretty quickly. I doubtful because I don't think it reduces the use of add-ons. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. But it does seem to solve quite a few things here. At least with the logging and whatnot. I don't know. Let's see what else he's got to say. Create a leaderboard similar to Deep Dungeon or crafting ranks. It doesn't need a team system involved, just the players' names. If you wanted a team system, hopefully the programming would be something like that to the PvP teams that were introduced. But having an official leaderboard will reduce the strain of tracking the race. Oh, this is just to make it easier to see who's where in game. Okay. Continue to strive for data protection in new patches. For at least Savage and Ultimate fights, the longer the data can avoid being... That's fine, yeah. Just try and prevent people being able to data mine it. Hire a representative that would oversee competitive aspects of the game. This will add a human factor and level of moderation that could restore confidence in rankings. It could help foster and grow this type of events. See, I can actually see Squeenix doing this. And I think this is what Scripe was kind of suggesting, is that an in-person event that Squeenix is throwing a bit of money behind. Because that's one way of definitely ensuring that no cheating is going on, is you have to play at the if you're playing at the event, right? If you're playing there, that's what Echo tried to achieve. It's like, look, our players are here. They're clearly not fucking cheating. We have them all here. We're doing our thing. That's what Echo's tried to achieve with their in-person event, is to do it as pure as possible. How do you invite people to an event like that? Suppose Squeenix would put on the Race to World first, and that way you could have Japanese teams, NA, Euro. How do you get invited? That's tough. Who do you bring? Without just shutting out... So it's not a rich get richer scenario. Yeah, you apply, but who do you choose? You can't bring everybody. An MDI style system? Yeah, you'd have to make sure those teams aren't cheating, right? That's the thing. Would you have teams that are using, playing that fucking Xeno style gameplay in order to qualify, and then they rock up and they're like absolute trash when it comes to doing the thing? They're absolute fucking dirtbox trash. Because they rocked up, they used every add-on under the sun to get there, but at least they're there. They just end up coming in last place or whatever. And potentially great teams didn't get in. It's tough. It's tough. There's no easy answers to this. It's kind of very unique issues that 14 has. The add-on thing is a very unique issue to solve. It's better than the arms race that WoW went through, because that was absolutely stupid. Where the fights got so crazy. These may not all be possible, but I think they're at least reasonable to ask. Squeenix doesn't have to officiate the race, but actions they make can help support it. The world race is special to me and a lot of people in the community. I want to see it grow. Our problems are not over by introducing these rules, but at least it will give some expectation teams can have going into the race. This may not be the answer most people wanted, but it's the answer I feel is right. Again, these rules only apply to the race and fight. I have no intention of reaching outside of that scope. Please continue sharing your opinion. Okay. I think I like Tournament Realm the most. Yeah. I don't know if they could do something that intentionally makes it way more difficult for add-on developers to make something in the time it takes. Like Savage is estimated for a day or so. And Ultimate like a few days. Having them all there in that environment, that could be interesting. Because they add micro patches to break add-ons. Yeah, I wonder if there's just, instead of like hoping people don't make them, is there a way of actively making it without interfering with the gameplay? Because people play for hours and hours and hours for the FF14 World First. They play more than WoW. Do they want it? I see. My gut feeling is, as much as like it seems like such a niche portion of it, I think Yoshida really likes it. I don't think we kept it in our interview. Did Chris? I don't know if Chris can hear me. Did we keep the stuff in the interview where I was talking to about the Race to World First? I don't know. I can't remember if we left it in the talk. Yeah, I don't think we did because... No, we didn't. Okay, yeah. I think we cut that out because we were talking about... I talked to Yoshida about it, yeah. I talked to him about it because the FF14 Race to World First was coming and I don't think it was announced yet. So nobody else knew, so we couldn't put it in the interview, but I did talk to him about it. He's super into it. He loves the Race to World First. He loves raiding. And I think he wants it to be dope as fuck. So I think there is possibility of something happening that isn't just creating harder content and stuff like that. Very much patch. The add-ons might take a week or more to be updated. There's no FF14 fight in the current scheme of things that takes longer than a week. I think Yoshida would be interested in it. I kind of lean on the Tournament Realm. What about consoles? They'd be able to access it. Why not just play on console? Because people don't like it and the game is available in other areas where they don't want to play console. Shouldn't limit them to that. Toriel's regretted should reach out. It's almost impossible to talk to Square Enix Japan. We've tried a few times. Yeah, even on console you can use keyboard and mouse. Exactly. It wouldn't be gated. You choose to sign up. That way anybody's allowed to join, right? With a Tournament Realm, I'm not sure. It's not an invite-only process. It's the same way WoW does it. Anybody's allowed to go on the Tournament Realm. You could go on it now. Like, the PTR is open now. A lot of the community-driven tournaments take place on the PTR. They don't take place on live servers. Like that server is, I'm sure there's a PTR up right now for World of Warcraft. But you can just jump on and do things. It's totally fine. Interesting. I don't think the only negative I have from this, Frosty's done some really good stuff here, is I just don't see any of this being remotely enforceable. I worry that the people using add-ons to gain an advantage are just doubling down on nobody share any screenshots outside of one guy. And then I could almost see people passing screenshots that will go public around to each other to see if there's any evidence of the add-ons. Right? I feel like that's what's being doubled down on here. Is like, okay. No, because the last two, the one for top and the one for Ultimate, for Futures Rewritten, have all been from screenshots from someone else, right? That have revealed something going on. That's what's going on. It just takes too much effort. It can be. It's unreasonable. Yeah, it's unreasonable. Guild Sanchez screenshots. Exactly. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like, it's more a case of don't get caught than don't do it. Which I guess is true of all cheating. I mean, that's not really a new take on cheating. It's like, don't get caught. Do it, but don't get caught. All right? Like, this is helpful. This is helpful. It's only illegal if you get caught. Yeah. It's more a case of how do we... this is always the way with cheating. Is like finding new and ingenious ways of not getting